Welcome to the last pre-concert talk of this festival. Today we have three performers and composers joining us. So Tilen Draksler, he's a conductor. He was with us all week, conducting many of the pieces, so he will share some insights about the program during the whole week. And then we have Nija, who was here as a flutist, and today we will also hear one of her compositions that she prepared from the ensemble. And from Vienna, joining us today is Aleksandra Bajde, Slovenian composer and performer. So as per usual, I will start with the short introductions of all the guests. Aleksandra Bajde is a Slovenian composer and performer and also cultural manager and researcher based in Vienna, as I mentioned. She studied jazz singing, musical composition, international relations, and European studies in various European countries. In 2020, she received the prestigious Austrian award and was selected for the European Music Council Scholarship Program. In 2022, she was part of the Shape Plus platform for innovative music and audiovisual arts. Her music has been performed at prestigious venues and major festivals all over Europe. Her work can be described as a hybrid of composed and improvised music, incorporating elements of performance. Her main interest lies in exploring and experimenting with the infinite possibilities of sound and its expression, while also creating new connections with other forms of arts. She is currently pursuing a doctoral degree in political science at the University of Vienna. She is the founding director of the Laboratory for Culture and Sustainability and works as a project manager at Austrian section of the International Society for Contemporary Music. So Aleksandra, welcome again, and thank you very much for taking this time to join us. I would like to start with your academic work, namely your PhD, as it was mentioned. You are currently pursuing doctoral studies in politics, and if I understand correctly, there is a special focus on cultural diplomacy.
That's correct.
That's correct, okay. Can you please maybe explain a little bit what that is and why is it important?
I have to use also. Yeah, first I would like to thank you for the invitation, and I'm really happy that I could make it to be here today with all of you. So yeah, I mean I've been always between music and I studied international relations, and I somehow still my aim was to connect these different worlds and backgrounds. And yeah, in my PhD, the focus is on the Europeanization of cultural diplomacy of small European member states, and I'm comparing Austria and Slovenia. Okay. It's also partly because I have worked, I have professional experiences, and also at the embassy of the Republic of Slovenia in Vienna, and also I collaborate or cooperate often with the Austrian Culture Forum in Ljubljana. So that's why I also derive from my practical experience and try to connect with theoretical knowledge.
And what is the aim of cultural diplomacy?
My focus lies on what's the influence of the EU. Okay. What's this influence of the EU on the small member states. So what's happening at the EU, so European foreign culture policy, how is this influencing the foreign culture policy of small European member states, of Slovenia and Austria, and so in that sense, especially because it's very different for small member states because they have usually less voice in policy, at the EU level of policy making. Still, the two countries also share a long history. but still they have a very different cultural diplomacy. Austria, of course, has a great expertise. I mean, really, more than 70 or 80 years. As a small country, has like 30 cultural forums around the world, and Slovenia is just still, I mean, I think it's developing its cultural diplomacy and currently having, for example, in comparison, only 2 culture informative center abroad, like in Vienna and in Berlin. So I think there's very different, and I think one can learn from the other one a lot. I mean, in terms of expertise, in terms of development and focus.
So if I understand correctly, the focus of this cultural forums is to present culture of one country in the EU in foreign lands, or
I think
to do some kind of cultural management. Is that?
I think the Slovenia has more on the national branding, of course, to present Slovenia abroad. Also, it's connected to cultural tourism, and they're forming their cultural diplomacy through international cultural relations, being also very present at different EU projects as partners, or so they are really keen to cooperate with other member states. While I think with Austrian one, it's way more Europeanized, and already the values of also culture to be used for peacemaking, you know, to really to understand culture, not just to present it, but really for the culture exchange, to create a dialogue. I think it's a bit different, how to say, strategy. So it's based, it's closer to the EU one, so more on the exchange cooperation, and not so much, I want to export the national culture abroad.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There was another thing that caught my eye, which was the culture and sustainability lab that you founded.
Yeah.
I noticed that in a lot of, when you're applying for funds or something similar, there's often this section where you have to...
Recently, in the past years, yes indeed.
Where you have to describe how your
Yes.
project is sustainable. How can this sustainability be realized through culture, through arts? What do you...
Recently, I was just working on a policy brief at the university with a professor at the University of Siena in Italy, and really having a critical approach, because basically the EU is trying to use culture as a mean to use it as a mean to an end. I mean, like, you know, culture for sustainability, so that it serves this purpose to, but not really exploring like culture being as one of the dimension of sustainable development. Like, for example, there are sustainable development goals, there is no culture. They are mentioned only in 2 targets. And I know that there have been great efforts for that culture would be part of sustainable development, and really how they are shaping also now cultural dimension of sustainability. So I'm trying, to develop, it's like a model that includes all 4 dimensions, so social, economic, environmental, and cultural. And really looking at different aspects of it, not only external action, but only how the inner transformation, at a personal level. And like to think of holistically and really like long term, what is really when we talk about sustainability, because there is so much greenwashing and social washing in this field. So one needs to be really careful. Even at the EU level, green growth, as an alternative. Yes, well, it's still based on growth. And we know how it's growth. When we talk about growth, it's GDP based. So how much we produce, how much we export. So it's still very quantitative, and I really want to focus more on qualitative measures and not so much on quantitative. And I think this is also should be thinking in culture. Trying to do maybe less, but how can we do this better? How can we do this with a more fairly? I mean, like, how can we collaborate fairly with each other? How can we treat each other? Also, I mean, in the professional framework, and all these questions, not only environmental part, but really from social, also thinking about meaningful programming, you know, why this program, why these composers, and not just, all these whys. Why do we actually create certain program, and how is this linked to community, or how to the heritage, and all these questions. I mean, I'm just still exploring.
And how do you think is this academic work that you do? How does it influence your artistic work, if so?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I also I ask myself as an artist, how can I contribute? You know, I mean, there are so many social issues. I mean, global to local, and what is my voice? How can I contribute that? But not just like a naming a piece. I mean, with the title.
Yeah.
But now I'm really working on also, especially with audiences, to involve, not in today's piece, but in general, my focus is to really to develop projects that has a social relevance, and that I include audience to participate, to really not just passive listener, but active participant, like with physical experience, and being also as a co-creator of the performance. And this is my latest focus, I would say, together with also, as I said, mentioned already, works that have more social relevance.
In what way do you include audiences to how they participate?
For example, for the next year, I have an idea. It's called Slow Down, the project's title. And it's, of course, for an ensemble of 5 pieces. Also, me as a composer, I would be also the narrator. So, and to imagine, I mean, I think our life became so fast, and that's why I thought it's time to slow down. And that's why I titled it. And so audience come in, they lie down on the yoga mattresses, and they get earphones, and I basically instruct them also to do different breathing exercises or contribute with sound and also breath, and also in that way forming like really different layer, or how to say, visual and also audio, I mean like acoustic layer with different incorporation of different sounds. Or for example, the last piece, eyepiece, audience was using iPhones. With light, with sound. They were also live on on Instagram, and it was really interesting exchange how they contributed with light and also sound, and they were playing their favorite piece of music, and their phone needed to be all the time on, also throughout the whole piece. So that I also try to have some risks, that not everything is super composed, but let's see what happens when someone gets, I don't know, phone calls and messages, and how this interaction and usage of phones is part of the piece.
And the piece we will hear today, Digitalize Me, is also roughly based on the abundance of the information.
Indeed, yeah, totally. Yeah, that's I just want.
With.
Indeed, yeah, abundance of information and different, a reference of different genres, and that's what's the main thing, as you said. And this I try to basically form it through an artistic expression, or all these different references.
What about the theatrical or performative component that you also incorporate?
Yes, they have some.
How is this connected to the music, maybe, or to the piece as a whole? How does it function?
I think it's not so much. There are some elements, of course. They're turning heads. They're also, I think sometimes it's supporting or illustrating certain things, and sometimes it's just to intensify maybe the whole experience through also visual dimension.
Okay, thank you so much. For now, I would now like to ask Nija a few things
Thank you so much.
about your piece that will be performed today. Maybe for the start, if you just quickly tell us how did you start composing it and what it is about.
It's a, yeah. By the way, thank you. Hi everyone.
Not
Yes.
that I shouldn't forget to read your presentation.
What?
Something about Nija. She completed her studies in flute at the Academy of Music in Ljubljana. As part of the music arts program, she completed her master's degree in 2021. Her focus is on studying composition, performing new works, and preparing a research portfolio. Part of it we could hear today, right, at the lectures. Her mentor is Drea Hočevar. And now to my question.
Yes. So, Prelude, Episodes, and Stretto is about nothing specific, but music. And if I would say something needs to be said about it, I guess I would just say, for everyone that's gonna listen to it, I guess just let go and use your imagination, or just listen to the sound. It's very nothing programmatic there, I guess. And if someone really wants to hear something else, then listen for the melody with a minor sixth. Starting with a minor sixth. I think that's that's fun, I think. Yeah, and that much about Preludes, Episodes, and Stretto.
There's an interesting way of you building the composition. Part of it is written, but part of it is also building or constructed through your work with the ensemble.
Yes, there is a certain aesthetic that I find very beautiful, and get to it through this usually a mechanism of overwhelming the performers with something not really possible to do. And that is, I guess, partially why there's so much built in rehearsals, but at the same time, why the piece must not be rehearsed too much. And the other part is simply sometimes I just when it's performed, it's just certain opportunities arise that I see I need to take as a composer and incorporate into the work.
So not to limit yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's that or a different type of limiting or unlimiting yourself, I guess. Yeah. So does that answer?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Your creative practice, your composing, is very much intertwined with the work of Abeceda Institute. You were part of the.
Yes.
How many programs? More than one.
I don't know. I actually
more than one.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So maybe we can use this opportunity to explain a little bit how those program works and what do they offer you as a artist in residence.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So I think what needs to be said here is that Abeceda with its programs and its work is first of all, I mean, offering infrastructural support for mostly younger in development composers and performers by, I think, almost always giving them a certain job to do, which is anyway something, let's say, if you're a performer, you get something to perform. But there's always this pobuda, initiative to prepare a program of your own, and you get a carte blanche for that. And that's simply with also then the infrastructural help that Abeceda offers to you, such as performances of, let's say, your compositions, that together then facilitates this opportunity for young people to really create something of their own, where they take the initiative and work with it and create something that might not be that encouraged or that might not be happening around in that same environment. And for example, I started with, and it's I think still on Abeceda's website, as are all the other archives, with publishing recordings of chamber pieces in a series called Two, and performing that, let's say, in Kinoshishka. So it's that kind of, those kind of opportunities, and a bit different from that, also very important, and something that I would say has a profound impact on my performance and composition practice are then the classes that are given by Dreja Hočevar, a performance composition class and private supervision. And that is simply, what it's the name already says.
I recently noticed that you also started your own project with several colleagues called Opus Amsterdam.
Yes.
Which is also a way of giving opportunities to younger, emerging artists that are still searching for their own visions. And
it's a concert atelier where primarily intended for concerts, and every week concerts, and where I primarily, let's say, I'm playing on the day where I run the series. But then, as you said, we have guests, and we're starting to build a chamber group, a small ensemble of our own also.
And what is it that you, as a, let's call it producer now, want to offer those young artists that will be performing? Maybe from your own experiences, what do you think is important that you are offered, that you get?
Well, up to a certain extent, I have a vision for as a composer there. So in that, of course, that mixed with being a producer also means that I will be, facilitating a space for a new music ensemble there, and what is offered is participation at this point, but also premiering new works also, because that will be the encouraged for everyone to bring their compositions, and for those compositions to be performed. What this concert atelier is intends to offer to the neighborhood is then concerts, live music, which is there's just this place in that neighborhood that offers live music on regular basis. So that is what we want to offer to the locals around there.
Community.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe just one last question. As someone who's been here for all the festivals,
yes,
this is the third year. How do you see the development of the festival, or maybe did you notice anything special this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ensemble is growing, and it's starting to show that, let's say, at least a core of the group has been working together for some time, and also the team, you know, has been getting used to all the logistical things that then support all the artistic output here, and without which we could never go. And we are thankful for it if anyone of the team is listening. And I think, I mean, in a sense, it's just the way I see it. The festival is doing the same thing with which it started, which is just premiering lots of new compositions and offering children workshops. So something for the locals around here. And but also I think the vision of everyone that comes here and returns here, if you have James and Maximiliano right there, that comes here and returns here, you know, for let's say for composers, it means they have an ensemble that they already know a little bit. And I think every that kind of a detail then increases what the amount of work you can do in a short term, and the vision of people for the years ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you,
at
Urška.
this kind of events. Okay, Tilen, since we're kind of running out of time, I will make your introduction short.
Yeah, sure.
Tilen Draksler completed his master's degree in conducting in Madrid under the mentorship of Maestro George Pelivanian. He graduated in piano from the Academy of Music in Ljubljana and pursued postgraduate studies at the Franz Liszt Academy in Budapest. He currently works as an assistant to Maestro George Pelivanian on various projects, and apart from conducting, he is the founder of the Amadeo Orchestra, producer and artistic director of the Amadeo Festival, and secretary of the Slovenian Musicological Association. Okay, maybe one typical question we do at this kind of talks. What is the main difference you see between conducting traditional repertoire and conducting, on the other hand, contemporary pieces?
Well, the biggest difference is my orchestra in my head, which I hear. And that's the beauty of it for me. And the other thing is that it's the question about the modern and classical, or ensemble and orchestra.
The modern, the traditional and the contemporary music.
Okay. Yes, and you know, it's nice to conduct premieres because I get in contact with composers, and it's some sort of a research also in a way with musicians, especially because it's an ensemble, it's not an orchestra. With an ensemble you create also relationships or deeper connections with musicians, and you debate a little bit about it. And you know, I cannot imagine to ask a musician in the big orchestra, can you play this in 3 different ways, or can you play maybe like that or that or that? No, there I have to be like 150% sure what I want, and maybe experiment in a way that I only know. But here it's like a laboratory. And it's also nice because here, especially in abeceda, that musicians are looking forward to rehearse modern pieces. It's not like a gig and okay, I come, I go. And they're interested, and most of them, as we heard yesterday, they compose also. Oscar and Urban and Neja, maybe somebody else also. So it's a completely different work when I conduct in the live. But before the preparation is a little bit different. In a way, yes, in a way, not. I mean, the techniques, the basics are similar also, but you know, in non-contemporary repertoire, there are just more melodies, and the expression is different. Like if you go to the gallery of modern fine art or Baroque, or you know, it's just the smell is different of you know when yeah.
So I assume the biggest challenge when preparing this festival was the abundance of the repertoire that you had to study. There was really so many things to prepare. But can you maybe point out some other challenges that you were facing when learning all this new repertoire? Maybe something there was repeating themes, some repeating issues that you had to resolve.
Not
the
actually,
pieces.
there were none, just joy. Yeah, and I just had to organize myself to, you know, and it was nice. We had Zoom meetings with composers, and actually this year was great because we started to rehearse pretty early, and we were not practicing so much during the festival, and so it's still very difficult for musicians to perform every day, the whole day, but it's still much better this year that they only perform but we don't practice. And so we can really, maybe it's a little bit more stressy for composers because they don't hear it so much, and maybe because the sound checks are not on such a high level because we are not 100% focused always. But then on concert, the musicians give everything, and results, I think, are wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we have time for just one or two quick questions. Yes, Maximiliano.
Thank you. I will try to do it as fast as I can. I have a question for Aleksandra. One is not always has the chance to talk to someone, to ask a question to someone that is actually working with sustainability. But for what I understood, when in your own compositional practice, in your own compositional practice, when you're mentioning the examples of involving the audience in the practice of doing the music itself, for me it's really troubling because in such a movement of transferring doing the music outside to the audience instead of the musicians, in some way you're rendering the audience, the role of the audience of listening, invisible in a way. Because the desire of the audience to come to listen and the musicians to play, apart from the economical issue that the musicians are being paid and the audience is usually paying, but the economy of desire to listen is a little bit. I have the feeling when we are playing with this idea of sustainability. So is it really sustainable to think of this kind of practice, like always imagining that the audience will have to participate, or wait a minute, also in the sense that if there is like one European cultural tradition that is the practice of new music, of making new music, of asking oneself what is new, and to listening to it and to thinking about it, and also in the sense that if we are always being we have the, if we I have the feeling if you make the audience also play, you give them the illusion of that they are doing something, but in the end, if they are just listening to your instructions, now do that, now breathe, now move, in the end, what are they really listening to? Like they are just following an order, or more than really it's more an illusion of doing that, a true collaboration that needs years of practice of the musicians that are in the up in the stage. So my question is, can we truly what do you really mean when you are thinking about this? Because I think I don't understand. I'm probably misunderstanding where you're coming from, and also with the idea of cultural management and the idea of building audiences. Like I think it's really important to build audience from the perspective of listening. If we are trying to involve them, it cannot be in this small pill, like just I don't know, like just take this pill and then you won't be depressed anymore. You just have to take it every day for the rest of your life. But like doing truly a work of thinking and of collaborating with the musicians in a more deeper way, maybe it is sustainability is something that's more slow process. That's my question.
Yeah, maybe it was not clear enough. It's not always that all my works are, and not always, I mean, the participation of audience doesn't always means, or it's related to sustainability.
No, only to this particular perspective, because it's not, it's also something pretty new.
Yeah, in that sense, regarding the audience participation, I derive from myself, because I would be interested as a composer, not just to come to listen to contemporary music, but I want to also experience and be part of it or engage. So I want to be engaged instead of just sitting and another piece, you know, which can be wonderful too, of course. But it's more about exploring a way how to really incorporate this part. But as you said, I mean, they're different. I also try to go out of traditional, concert places. For example, one of the last performances was also at the Museum of Modern Art in Vienna, and so audience could freely join or not. I mean, it's not that everything is super instructed. It can be really just one sentence or something else, and then you can, depends on the piece. So in that sense, I really linked it to the exhibition, the animal within, and then the audience had to search for their animal within, also internally, and participating with sound and movement, which was free. So they could choose how to participate. You could just sit, you could lie down in the middle of the museum, You are very free in that sense, or maybe mumming, or I don't know, you could do anything. So it's not that everything is super structured. It really depends on the piece. And what I want to say, it's not always every piece. It's really about sustainability. It's just, as I said, this slow down. I really want the people, it's not like a meditation session, but it's a transformative musical session. There is still artistic quality, but still people, first of all, as a composer, I'm a narrator, I'm also speaking to their ears directly, which is, I think, something to have a personal connection or direct connection with the audience. Because I always feel like, yeah, you come at the end of the piece, you bow, but, I also want to have kind of more contact with the audience as a composer. And also they will do different, breathing. I mean, it's just, this new piece is still informing in just my idea, that when you come, you have also not just something that has an impact on your well-being, that maybe you just relax for 20 minutes, lay it down. Maybe you do something, maybe you don't do anything. You can just listen. That's your decision. It's not that you must participate. That's why it's not yet entirely conceptually finalized, but it's just my aim. I'm working on that, how to really have that, audience is participating, but also experiencing, and that there is some kind of effect on well-being, hopefully. I mean, that was the aim of that slow down piece. if I manage to clarify at least part, I mean, to a certain extent. Other work on sustainability is where it's related to culture project, and it's really also related to policy and stuff. So sometimes they are very different. It's not that as an artist I'm always, doing any of everything. I mean, I try to do as much as possible in that way to be more sustainable, and also what is sustainable for me, the way I work. But yeah, it's not always, how to say, every piece has some kind of link to sustainability. That's why I rather say it's more about themes that have social relevance, or themes that are contextualized or recontextuals in the times that we live in. Like using iPhone, and that's something that we really use so much on a daily basis, and incorporate this into a piece of music.
But these people were given the iPhone, or they had to buy it?
No, they were using their own, and they were waving also. And they were on Instagram Live, and the narrator had the whole ensemble. The ensemble was waving, and then they were using lights, different effects, and at the end they were playing their favorite piece, which was forbidden to be contemporary music. No, sorry, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, sorry. No, I mean.
I always joke with my friends that I make sustainable music because I just write the same piece.
This I do too. I mean, this was actually what we could see at the festival. There were 3 other pieces that were played: Clockwork violin, Clockwork duo. So I really also then extended certain idea, expanded it to a duo, and then these forms of intimacy. There were even, again, transformations. So I also try in that way to reuse certain material and develop it, because it's just okay. Yes,
I'm sorry
I
so
know
much
we have to go.
but we have to. Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you
all
so much.
Yes,
Thank you
for this.